Hi everyone, and thank you for joining me today. Now I'm recording this in advance of me moving, so you may not get this straight away. I probably have moved by the time you see this, but I wanted to do a look today that was inspired by, well, it's not just inspired by, I'm copying it, Life of Kelly Dawn, and she did Sophia Tilbury's makeup to go to Harrods for their opening of the Charlotte Tilbury section in Harrods. And I just thought, I've got to try that. Now, I don't know if it's going to work because I've got very hooded lids and Sophia doesn't. She says she's got slightly hooded lids, but she has, but they're very slightly hooded. So I'm going to see if it works on me because I just wanted to give it a go. I'm very cold in my flat. I am dressed, but I'm very cold. So excuse me for that. So first of all, she started off with Magic Cream and Eye Rescue, which I've already put on and I've allowed to sink in along with my sunscreen. And then we're going to go and follow the rest of the tutorial. Okay, it's so dark here today. You probably think I'm filming in the evening, but believe you me, it's the afternoon. So next on in, I'm going to go in with Hollywood Flawless Filter. Now, I don't have shade 4 because I always think it looks a bit grey on me. I've got shade 3 and I've got shade 5. So I'm going to put shade 5 on and see how it looks on me, and then decide which of the Airbrush Flawless foundations I'm going to use. I may use the neutral because this is quite warm. So I'm just going to dot this over my entire face. And then blend it out with the Hollywood complexion brush. I nearly opened my new one and I put it away and cleaned my old one because I want to keep it nice and new for my new place. So that I've got something nice and new to open as a little treat when I get there. Because everything's going to be in disarray, so I'm trying to give myself little treats. So I'm just blending this in, and actually it doesn't look too bad. I thought if it looked overly warm then I'd use the neutral, but I'm going to see. This little brush is brilliant for blending in Flawless Filter and foundation actually. But it does need cleaning very, very regularly because it's only a small brush. So you have to stay on top of it. I think I'm going to get one of those cleaning devices when I move. Okay, so that's Hollywood Flawless Filter. And next on in, I'm going to go in with Airbrush Flawless Foundation. And I'm just going to pick whichever one is here. And this one is the warm one. Doesn't matter. Just pick some up with the brush and start from the outside, blending out. What do you think, Jack? Is that close to my skin colour, or is it looking too yellow? Once I blend it in.
It looks like your skin colour, but if you made it more shiny.
I can see why they use this brush a lot on the event that night, because it does blend it in really, really well and doesn't make it look too high coverage, because it disperses it really well. I just want to tackle a few of those little bits there by stamping it, sort of pressing it into the skin rather than blending it. So I just do this. So wherever you want higher coverage, just stamp it. I know stamp's the wrong word. I can't think of the word that I mean. Again. But you know what I mean. And around my nose. Okay, so that's the foundation done. Then she uses a colour corrector. So I'm going to use that next, and I'm going to mix shades 3, 2 and 3. So I'll be right back. Okay, there's only one slight problem with mixing these two colour correctors, is that they dry down so incredibly quickly, which stops them from, it's a good thing because it stops them from actually settling into fine lines under your eyes. But it means it makes it incredibly difficult to mix them. So what I'm going to do today is I'm just going to try this. I'm going to go in first of all with the darker shade and put that on first. And then I'm going to put the lighter shade on top. Because if I try and mix them on my hand, it dries down too quickly and I can't use them. They've just dried on my hand. But hopefully this should work fine. And I want to get this, because this keeps popping through. And these bits here. And this Hollywood complexion brush is brilliant for doing work under the eyes. The other end of the one that I just used to apply my foundation. I know I look a bit strange, don't I? Let's just dot that one as well. Okay, now I'm going to just wipe that clean. I've got this stuff called quick change. So you just spray the brush and wipe it clean. Notice that I'm dotting again, and that's because I don't want to move the darker colour corrector underneath. And the same goes for the concealer when I apply it. If I start doing that, it will start moving what I've done. Just quickly correcting that. Okay, now magic away concealer. Okay, so I'm going to use, sorry, this is shade 6, so this is for under my eyes. And again, I'm going to dot this. And I'm going to take that bit down under there and up there. And the other side, and I will start blending it in with the brush in a second. This just gives you a little bit of a lift at the side when you take it up like that. Just gives the impression that your eye's a bit more lifted than it is. And I just want to take it down on that little bit of my cheek. So that's shade 6. And again, I'm going to pat that in with the brush. I'm not too worried if a little bit of orange is peeping through on my cheeks, because that will just look like blusher when we're finished. This is normally the bit that I miss in this corner, and that's what's so good about this brush, is that you can get into that corner, get around all the edges. Okay, and then shade 8 for the rest of my face. I can afford to swipe here because I've got no colour corrector. I'm just taking the thicker end. Okay, next on in, she uses the contour wand. I'm going to use the contour wand in dark. Okay, so she dots this. Of course, Sophia has a beautiful bone structure, and she takes her contour a lot higher on the cheek because she's quite chiseled. I'm not, so I'm not doing that. Because if I took that higher on my cheek, it would just make my cheeks look fuller. Now, I will be taking that up to meet the brows, but I don't have to draw it up there because there's enough on the nose already. So I'm just going to start with the cheeks. What you do is you blend it up to lift the face. You don't start higher when you've got a round face like myself. Now you'll notice I always do this, and it's to give myself a bit more of a point because I've got a double chin, and it just gives the impression of a slightly less of a double chin. That's just something I've developed over the years. I've not seen anyone else doing it, to be honest. It just, by doing that, it just gets rid of that a little bit. It's almost like I'm drawing a line there and then up to do my contour. It won't get rid of it completely, but it just gives the impression that there's a bit more of a sharper look. And then with this, with the contour on your nose, you're supposed to blend up. And I'm just going to take that up to meet the brow bone. Because the shadow goes all the way up. It doesn't stop. Now, often I don't go under my nose, but I'm going to do it today. And then the way that I finish off blending is to pinch my nose. Just find that that works really well. Now, in this tutorial, she didn't use any powder. I'm going to use powder down the middle. I didn't see her use any powder anyway, but I'm going to use some powder down the middle, and then we'll move on to the next part of this look. Okay, so I'm just going to use Airbrush Flawless Finish Powder in shade 2 down the centre of my face and under my eyes, just to set all of that product. I don't always do that, but because I've got quite a bit of colour corrector on, I'm going to do it today. And just around here. Now I'm going to keep the powder out for a minute because the next part of her look is using Magic Away concealer. Okay, so for this part of the look, she actually uses Magic Away on the lids. Now I've got shade 5, which is nearly finished, but I think there's enough there to use it. So I'm going to use that on my lids, just to give me a nice brightening of the eyelid. I was using this in the winter time to brighten under my eyes, but it's a little bit too bright. And I'm just going to blend that out with my fingers. You could blend it out with that brush. And I'm going to set that with the Airbrush Flawless Foundation, Airbrush Flawless Finish Powder. I'm going to use shade 1, I think, to set it, to keep it nice and bright. Although, no, I'm not. I just thought. The reason I'm not is because Airbrush Flawless Finish Powder in shade 1 has got a pink undertone, and shade 2 has got a yellow undertone, and the rest of the look, apart from the eyeliner, is warm. So I'm going to stick with shade 2. Okay, again, I don't recall seeing her setting this on the tutorial, but if I don't set this Magic Away, it will crease on my eyelids. It doesn't crease underneath, but it will definitely crease on my eyelids, so I have to do that. She may have done it. If so, I'll put a little note underneath. I'll double check when I'm watching it back. But I think if you're a hoodie like me, it's definitely better to set it with some powder. Otherwise, Magic Away will crease. Anything will crease. If you've got that amount of hood fold on your lid, then anything will crease. Okay, so now we're going to go in with the Icon palette. Actually, before we get into the eyeshadow, she did the brows with Brow Lift, and she actually used Supermodel on her, which surprised me because Sophia's brows I thought looked lighter than that. But I suppose when you've got lighter brows, you can choose to go for a darker brow pencil if you want a more dramatic look. So I'm just going to go in and tidy these up. One always looks higher than the other, and if I try too hard to match them, it all goes a bit wrong. I'll just add a little bit more of an arch there. Let me just... Okay, and then before I put this away, I'm just going to do a little sweep there and use a bit of the Brow Lift, which she didn't do in her tutorials, but never mind. Right, now to the Icon palette. Okay, next on in, she went in with this shade here and used it in the sockets. Now, can you see what I did just then? I actually relaxed my brows and you couldn't see much of the shadow anymore. So I relaxed them and looked straight in the mirror and took it a little bit higher up so that we can see some shadow. Okay, and then we're going in with the liner brush. Oh no, before she did that, she took a little bit of the highlighter shade, the very first one in this palette, and she highlighted the lid, and in the inner corner I should have used I'm just going to get a smudge brush. Okay, so I've got my smudge brush. I'm now just going to pop this in this inner corner. So essentially there is nothing on my lids except Magic Away. Okay, and then we're going to move on to the blue shade. So taking this shade here and Charlotte's tiny little liner brush, she started to line the eyes. Just going to dab my eye, which has started watering, and just relax it for a minute. Okay, she does a feline flick with this, but first of all I'm just going to concentrate on lining the rest of my eye. Okay, now I'm just going to wipe this eye again and I'll be right back. Now what she told Sophia to do was to relax her brows and look straight ahead so that she could work out the flick. Now you can see with this hooded lid, if I do that, it's very difficult to achieve some kind of wing, but I'm going to give it a go. So I'm going to do it on the easiest one to start with. So to relax your lid, and then as though you're drawing a line from here up to here, you draw your dot. So now I've got my dot, and once I open my, I don't relax my brows anymore. You can see it's a massive line, but it won't look that massive once I relax. See? And then the other one. This is going to be tougher. So again, as though I'm drawing a line from here to about there. This is going to look an even longer line. Look at that. Okay, this is the problem that us hoodies have. I've just taken a call and I've done that, and look, it's transferred up there. So this is not really going to work very well on hooded lids, but I'm going to keep going and see how it turns out. what I might do is just put some blue into the crease to look like it's deliberate. Now what she did in this look is she stopped there, but I'm quickly deciding that this doesn't work on my eye shape. It just doesn't look right. So she didn't take the eyeliner underneath. Tell me what you think, but I don't think it works on my eye shape. Okay, I'm interrupting to show you the picture of when this makeup look was done on Sophia. And I'm really glad it didn't work on me, because it gives me the opportunity to explain to you why it doesn't work on me. And if you're similar to me, not to give up and think, oh, it's just because I'm no good at applying makeup. It's got nothing to do with that. It's got everything to do with the eye shape. Now, if you look, now Sophia's actually raising her eyebrows a little bit in this picture, but she's got a little bit of hooding, but it's in the middle of her socket, not at the end. At the end, it's still quite firm. So if you can see that when she lowers her eyebrows in the middle, there's probably a slight bit of hooding, but it's not actually interfering with the eyeline at the end of her eye. And also because she's only slightly hooded, when she relaxes her brows, that line is not going to transfer onto the socket. Now, you can prevent that. You can actually put powder on it. But it wasn't just about that. It's about the shape. Now, if you see the shape of her eyes are a lot more... they're a lot more oval and pointed out. And she's just lengthening that. Mine are a lot rounder and they're downturned. And it just doesn't look right because she hasn't actually linked her liner underneath the eye. So... and that looks fine for her because it just raises up her eyes. But on me, it just doesn't, because it looks detached because of the shape. My shape is a lot rounder. I hope all that makes sense, but please do ask questions. So I'm really glad that I've been able to use this as an example. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust this to look right for me. I do love the fact that there is that lovely chocolatey brown in the crease, and then the contrast of the blue eyeliner. I love that, but it just doesn't work. It's going to transfer up there because of my hooded lids, and it just doesn't look right for my eye shape. Not taking this down and joining it up, it just looks a little bit bizarre. So I'm going to do some adjustments and I'll be right back and tell you what I did. Oops. As well as my watery eyes. Okay, you can see I've now adjusted that eye to suit my eye shape a little bit more. So I've taken the blue eyeliner down underneath and I've swept it up in a line to join it up. And then where it was transferring into the socket, I put some more eyeshadow and linked it up in a kind of, so it went out like that, down like that, and then it sort of stayed in a vague triangle there. And then here, there just wasn't enough of a contrast. And I think you need to see a bit more socket when you've got hooded lids. So I took the highlighter shade from this palette and then just pressed it here right into the corner to give me a nice contrast with the blue. It's not the same. It would have been a lovely look for somebody without hooded lids, but it just doesn't look right. Tell me what you think anyway, but that's what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to complete the other side. So as I say, first of all, I'm going to take with the liner, I'm going to take the blue down if my eye stops watering and link that line up. And take it halfway along and smudge it out. And then where that is transferring here, you can see it's transferring here. See, I'm just going to draw that line so you can see that's where it's transferring. So I'm going to take a smudge brush and I'm going to link up where that line stops along there to where that line is, because it's going to transfer there anyway, so we might as well put it there on purpose. And then I'm filling in that area in between. And then I'm going to smudge that bit out, because this blue, as you've seen before, is very emollient, and it's almost better to treat it like a cream than a powder. And then I just need to kind of balance out both sides by relaxing my eyes and doing a bit of smudge work. And this blue, definitely smudge it with your fingers when you get to the top, because it's not going to blend out like a powder shadow. Treat it as though it's a cream and you're fine. It's perfect as an eyeliner because of that, but not so good as a blending in eyeshadow. And then again, I'm just going to take this into the corner with the highlighter shade and cover the bits that are not covered in blue. And now we've got a bit of blue. I'm going to take back that chocolate brown shade a tiny bit and use it to blend out the top. So it's good to try these looks, but don't be afraid to say, well, actually that's not going to suit my eye shape, and adjust it. Now I'm going to just do a little bit of blending, just cleaning off that brush, blending out here, not with my fingers but with the brush, so I don't have to blend it too much. Now that I've blended with my fingers, and I need a bit more blue this side. I thought I did because I put more shimmer, less shimmer the other side. And that is better for me, definitely. I think you'll agree. Okay, I'm going to finish off by putting some black mascara on, and I'll be right back. Okay, I've done the mascara. So as you can see, I used where it transferred as a really useful guide to where I need to put the blue. And it's worked out fine. But the look as it was just wasn't going to work on my eye shape. So let's move on to the rest of the look. So on the lips, she used Iconic Nude and my new favourite, In Love with Olivia. So let's do that next. And then my favourite lipstick coming up. Now I've been wearing this lipstick a lot, but I haven't used it with Iconic Nude underneath. And it gives it a really soft look. I like that, and it does make it slightly cooler. for wearing blue eyeshadow. So I can see why they chose that underneath the lipstick. Don't forget, if you've got a variety of her lip liners, it's a really good idea, or any lip liners, because you can change your lipstick colour quite a lot by putting different lip liners underneath. And you can also use your lip liners underneath collagen lip bath to make a shiny version of whatever lipstick you want. And you can mix lip liners. So if you can't run to all the lipsticks, or you know, you really want to try and experiment with a colour, then it's just a lot cheaper way of experimenting with different lipsticks is to get a couple of lip liners instead and a collagen lip bath, and you can mix the lip liners, or you can use them under your existing lip shades to make them into different colours. So that looks very different than when I put Supersize Me under it, but it makes it cooler and it makes it go more with the blue eyeshadow. So I shall be using that again with blue eyeshadow. It's in the data bank. And now she finished off the look using the Glowgasm Peachgasm blush. So I'm going to put that on here. I need to actually twist it up and get some more out. So I shall do that first. And then I'm going to dab that in with my fingers. So there you have it. The look, as mentioned below in my description bar, because I've already forgotten her name, of the lady that was doing it, but the lady that made Charlotte Tilbury up for Harrods. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.